Types of muscular tissue. Generally, the muscular tissue is classified into three main types: 1 skeletal muscle, 2 smooth muscle, and 3 cardiac muscle. It must, however, be noted that there is no common basis for the classification of muscular tissue. The first variety, skeletal muscles, is named on the basis of its attachment to the skeleton. The name of the second type, smooth muscle, is based upon its microscopic structure. The third variety, cardiac muscle, is titled on the basis of its location in the body. Cardiac is a Greek word meaning pertaining to heart. Developmentally, all the three varieties of muscle tissue, i.e., skeletal, smooth, and cardiac, are derived from the mesoderm except the smooth muscle of the iris, which develops from the ectoderm. Skeletal muscle. This type of muscle tissue is the most abundant of all varieties and constitutes about 40% of the total body weight. As indicated by their title, muscles of this type are attached to different components of the skeleton, bones, and cartilages. When examined under microscope, the skeletal muscle fibers are seen as elongated, non-branching, multinucleated cells that show transversely arranged alternating dark and light bands which give these cells a conspicuously striated appearance. Although the cardiac muscle also shows cross striations vitae infra, the striated appearance is regarded to be a characteristic feature of the skeletal muscle, and generally the term striated muscle is regarded to be analogous with skeletal muscle. Functionally, the skeletal muscle is also titled as voluntary muscle because it can be made to contract by conscious control. However, some skeletal muscles are involved in production of movements that are operated at an unconscious level, for example, breathing, blinking, and swallowing, etc. The skeletal muscle is sometimes also referred to as somatic muscle to distinguish it from the visceral muscle, which is another title for the smooth muscle vitae infra. However, some skeletal muscles of the head and neck region, which develop from the branchiopharyngeal arches, are designated as special visceral muscles, for example, muscles of mastication, muscles of facial expression, and muscles of larynx, etc. Smooth muscle. As indicated by its name, the smooth muscle tissue is not striated and therefore appears smooth under the microscope. Each smooth muscle fiber is a long, slender, spindle-shaped cell containing a single nucleus, which is located in the central wider part of the cell. As mentioned above, no cross striations are visible in the smooth muscle cells. Hence, this variety of muscle tissue is also known as non-striated muscle. Unlike skeletal muscle, the smooth muscle is not connected to bones. Instead, the smooth muscle fibers usually form sheets in the walls of the hollow organs, for example, blood vessels, gastrointestinal tract, respiratory tract, and urogenital tract. Because of its location in the walls of the hollow viscera, the smooth muscle is also titled as visceral muscle. It is also called involuntary muscle because it is controlled by the autonomic nervous system and cannot be made to contract by conscious control. Cardiac muscle. Cardiac muscle tissue is found only in the wall of the heart, where it is known as myocardium. The cardiac muscle fibers are made up of short, cylindrical segments, cells joined end-to-end by intercellular junctions. Each segment contains one nucleus located in the central region of the cell. The cardiac muscle cells also show cross striations due to the presence of alternating dark and light bands. However, the striations are not as distinct as those of the skeletal muscle. A special feature of the cardiac muscle cells is that they give off branches which make junctions with the branches of the neighboring cells and, thus, convert the whole myocardium into a network. Like the smooth muscle, the cardiac muscle is also involuntary and receives its nerve supply from the autonomic nervous system.